Today we're gathered at the 22nd in the yeshiva, on 22nd of Tammuz, Tuesday, the third day of the week of Parshot. That there's going to be two Parshot this week, Matotu Masa'eh. So Bezrat Hashem will be discussing two mitzvot. Today, mitzvah number 495 of obligation to listen to a Beit Din when they give you a ruling, and obviously when a rabbi gives you a ruling upon your question. And mitzvah number 496, prohibition of not listening to the Beit Din, and obviously a rabbanim when you ask them a question. The mitzvot are sponsored today, Bezrat Hashem, לרפואה שלמה לכל חולי עמו ישראל ובכללם לחיה בת לאה and Yosef Chaim ben Mafrat. So it goes like this. Mitzvah number 495. Lishmoa b'kol Beit Din Agadol. We have an obligation as only a body of authority to overrule or to actually dictate the Hashem's commands and the fulfillment of the Rabbanan. Only individuals that have that power is Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, the Beit Din HaGadol, the Sanhedrin HaGdolah. ולעשות כל מה שיצוו אותנו בדרכי התורה באיסור ומותר. We're obligated to listen to them, to whatever they command us. Either it's prohibition or an allowance. וטמא וטהור, wherever is impure, wherever is pure. וחייב ופטור, whether somebody is obligated or somebody is not obligated. בכל דבר שיראה להם שהוא חיזוק ותיקון בדתנו. Anything that the Sanhedrin HaGdolah declares that will be a great and supportive tool or a path for the community to make sure to sustain and to remain with our Torah knowledge. Therefore, whatever they say, you must follow. As it says in the Torah, in Dvarim, chapter 17, pasuk 10, ועשית על פי הדבר אשר יגידו לך, and as you must do as they command you. ונכפל בסמוך, and it's also taught in the next mitzvah number, in the next pasuk 11, לחיזוק הדבר, to strengthen the words, על פי התורה אשר יורוך, according to the Torah laws that they command you. ועל המשפט, and to the judgment, אשר יאמרו לך תעשה, and to the judgment that they give you, you shall do. ואין הפרש בזה בין הדבר שיראו הם בדעתם, או הדבר שיציעוהו בהיקש מן ההיקשים שהתורה נדרשת בהם. It's regardless whether they tell you something on their own, or even if they bring it out from the Torah learnings that the Torah we have, so the guidance that we have, a way to have drashot in the Torah. או הדבר שיסכימו עליו שהוא סוד התורה, או בכל עניין אחר שיראה להן שהדבר כן. Or anything that they have enumerated or deduced amongst themselves, and they have voted that this is the path that we should do, they are commanding us and we must follow. We are obligated to hear, to hearken to the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, the whole Sanhedrin HaGdolah. How do you know that this is a commandment in the Torah as a mitzvah itself? It's explained in the Sefer Sifri. On the judgment that they rule for you, you shall do. And when it says you shall do, the word you shall do means ze mitzvah aseh. Zu mitzvah aseh. This is a commandment to fulfill. משורשי המצווה כמו שכתבתי בכסף תלווה, אז זה בסימן זין. And obviously, mitzvah number 78 already discusses over there. In Kesef Talveh, in the Parashat Kitetze, over there, the mitzvah is elaborated. The chinuch elaborates over there. What is the purpose of this mitzvah? And obviously, everyone with some knowledge will understand why you need it. You need law and order. You need a bottom line. You need somebody who will finally tell you the law and ze'u, and that there is no more discussions. And that's what we have this mitzvah. The mitzvah, כגון, מה שדרשו זכרונם לברכה, is our teachers told us, על פי התורה אשר ירוחה, the rules and the reference to this mitzvah, as our sages have told us, wherever they rule. אלו הגזירות והמנהגות והמשפט, those are the decrees that the rabbis pass down, and certain behaviors, and certain judgments and laws. אלו הדברים שילמדו אותם מן הדין באחד מן המידות שהתורה נדרשת בהם. As long as it is taught, what they're telling you is it has to be taught, obviously, from the certain way as the Torah is taught from. Meaning we have guidance. מכל הדבר אשר יגידו לך, from anything that they say. זה הקבלה שקיבלו איש מפי איש. And this is the acceptance from word of mouth. So if you notice, the chinuch is many times already repeating this aspect, that they could tell you only things from the 13 ways that the Torah is taught. Basically, it sounds like over here he's indicating that even on check this Torah, if they don't justify what the rulership looks like, what do they base their rulership on? You don't have to follow them, looks like. You see what he says here? A few times. He says it again and again. He's telling you, they must... sounds like the halacha is 495, that whatever on Shek Deset HaGdolah, not on Shek Deset, the Sanhedrin HaGdolah, whatever they rule, they override everybody. Yep. But there's one condition, sounds like. Many times Hillel repeats it. The condition is they have to explain what they're ruling and why they're ruling. And once they explain it, it says it has to fall within the categories of the midot of limud Torah. If the hekesh,
it has to be al pi Torah.
Right, it has to be. That means they have to explain what they're ruling.
Otherwise, it's a horat shah. They can still make a horat shah and override.
Mashma not over here.
Yeah, they still can make an horat shah. That's
without explanation.
Yeah, they can. They absolutely can. It happens to be it doesn't stick. Meaning a horat shah would end up being temporary.
But again, the rabbi is stressing over here that they must give you explanation in the Torah why, and it has to be
right, for it to not to be a horat shah. Otherwise, it's a horat shah.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. Maybe I didn't get that far. Okay.
But again, they had a power that they mamish could like. I mean, horat shah is horat shah. The longest shah happens to be probably shofar. On Shabbat, but the horat shah is essentially the only loophole, and that's only very temporary.
No, but over there, the what's mean the shofar on Shabbat is a gather. We're afraid you're going to be bitalta. That's not a horat shah. Why would that be horat shah?
If you listen on Rosh Hashanah, there's no reason that Rosh Hashanah first day. There's no reason that blowing the shofar would be an issue.
Shabbat?
On Shabbat. The reason why we don't do it
is because of the kala.
It's not a gather for Shabbat. It's all of a sudden, it's actually a horat shah against Rosh Hashanah. And that's, by the way, it doesn't seem in Shemayim they like it so much, because as a result, any year that Rosh Hashanah falls in Shabbat, we say it's destructive. And the reason is because even though we do it, Hashem doesn't seem to be so happy about it. You know what I mean? That we don't blow shofar. So,
but again, it's bishum takala. I don't know what he's saying. It's horat shah. I never learned this horat shah.
It's true. But why is it am? What? Right. Yes, they still did it. They did have it. At one point, it was actually blown shofar, even then.
Okay.
But today we don't.
All right. Let's see. He goes further on. He had something beautiful. מכל הדבר אשר יגידו לך, זה הקבלה שקיבלו איש מפי איש. ומה שאמרו זכרונם לברכה, and what our sages told us, it's on Hedron, page 88, שבזמן שבית דין הגדול בירושלים, כל מחלוקת שהיא לכל בית דין, במקומו שואלים אותו שיהיה בית דין הגדול ועושים על פיהם. So the more elaborate explanation is that if remember, we had the Knesset HaGdolah, 71 by Bet HaMikdash, and then we had small Batei Dinim all over Israel. So whenever they had any difficulty, they would go to the Knesset HaGdolah, and whatever they say, that would be the halacha.
This is 496?
495. ועכשיו בעוונותינו, שאין שם בית דין כל מחלוקת שיבוא בין החכמים, שבדורנו והחולקים יהיו שווים בחוכמה. However, today, since we don't have Sanhedrin HaGdolah, so therefore, if you have a discrepancy or a dispute between Beit Din from Beit Din, everybody goes according to everybody is equal. There is no one Beit Din overriding the other. Im אין אנו ראויים להכריע ביניהם ולא ינדע להיכן הדין נוטה. Specifically, we don't know which Beit Din is more important than the other in Shamayim. We don't know. We cannot make such a decisions. And we cannot make such a statements. You see those foolish statements? Oh, my Beit Din said this, your Beit Din says this, my Beit Din is smarter than yours because we have great rabbis over there. It's chas v'shalom to talk like this. We don't know this. B'shel Torah yesh lanu lelech achar hamachmir u'b'shel sofrim achar hamekal. So he says like this. So the rule is, when there's a dispute between two rabbonim, two Beit Dins, right? If it's in reference to Torah, machloket in Deoraita, then we have to go to Chumrah. However, if it's a machloket in reference to the Rabbanan, then we go to the Kula. When there's a machloket. Uma shamru she'en Beit Din rashai levatel ma she'asar Beit Din kodem lo. And what our sages told us is that a Beit Din that precedes a previous Beit Din, a Beit Din the preceding cannot predecessor's Beit Din overrule it. Meaning the second Beit Din in the same generation, let's say next generation, cannot overrule the predecessor's rulings. You know what's going on here? Even if the second Beit Din says the first Beit Din was not following the halacha when they said it asur, still, so if the entire nation already, or the community has taken on themselves that prohibition which the Beit Din established, the previous Beit Din, the new Beit Din cannot overrule it. However, if, let's say, the first Beit Din was known, they were all balabatim. The rabbis, they learned 2-3 hours a day, and they established the Beit Din in the community, and that's the only thing they had. They were learning 2-3 hours a day, but they were mostly working. Now what happens is the next generation, you have Talmidei Chachamim, Mazeh, full-time learning. And more than that, they have 17-15 people in the community of this sages. And they come together and they say, listen, we're 17 people, we have more knowledge than the previous Beit Din. They will be allowed to overrule the first Beit Din in that respect only. If it's a known fact for sure that the Beit Din before were not fully Tam learning Talmidei Chachamim. If they were fully Tam learning Talmidei Chachamim, if they were, then there is no way that the second Beit Din could overrule it. Okay. כל הזמן שאלה בשעת אותו איסור, כן. ובאמת דברים אמורים, שיוכל לבטל כשהוא גדול ממנו בחוכמה ומניין. שלא אסר הבית דין הקודם לא אותו דבר, כדי לעשות סייג לעם בייסורים. And also another rule, very important rule, not that the first Beit Din specifically made a fence around something. If the community was doing an Averah and the Beit Din came and stopped them from doing the Averah, and that's why they enacted this Isur, no Beit Din ever could overrule it, even if they're greater in the Torah. Even if they're greater in the Torah, they cannot overrule the first Beit Din. Why? Because they came to interrupt the outbreak of Isur. An outbreak. For instance, people start going to, I don't know, movies or something. I don't know, make up something. Right? And they didn't have to come up with a strict rule, something with that, and to stop it. To stop this Averah. Or some kind of Averah that was public and it was normal for people to do. So the first Beit Din came and ruled, stop it. In that case, even if they're not big Talmidei Chachamim, no Beit Din can overrule them. אבל אם אסר הבית דין הקודם לו אותו איסור כדי לעשות בוגד על העם בייסורין, אין כוח בבית דין הבא, אחר לבטל תקנותו אפילו, הוא גדול ממנו בחוכמה ובמניין. Even if the second Beit Din is greater, if the whole purpose was to stop a sin, cannot be. לאחר כן, שכן הוא הדין, יש לכל בית דין ובית דין בדורו, להתיישב בדבר ולחקור הרבה ולתת לב בכל איסורין, שיראה שהדור נוהג בו שלא לפרוץ ולהורות עליו להקל. Therefore, the Beit Din has to be very, very careful when they're sitting together and they're meeting together, and they should gather together to make sure that the ruling that they're going to pass is going to be something that the nation will be good for the nation, and obviously they have to accept it and be able to fulfill what they're ruling. שמא קודם לא לגדור האם אסרו אם היותו יודע שהדבר מותר מדין ההלכה. ופרץ גדר, again, even if let's say the Beit Din decided to take something that's asur, even if it was mutar lechatchila, but again they have to be very careful. If they know for sure if they're gonna say it's asur, it's gonna stop the problem that they should do. Again, there's more discussion into this mitzvah in the Sanhedrin, and you should see over there. This obligation of 495, it's only unfortunately at the time of Bet HaMikdash, when there was Sanhedrin Gdura. Shakol mitzuin lasod kol asher yuru. As it says over there, everybody must fulfill as what they say. ובכלל המצווה גם כן לשמוע ולעשות בכל זמן בזמן כמצוות השופט. So too, included in cultivating in this mitzvah is to listen to what a judge says. Meaning you went to a Beit Din, and whatever the judge says, you must. כלומר, החכם הגדול אשר יהיה בינינו בזמננו, if we have a judge, we have a psak, you have a rabbi in your community, and you, as we say, you must ask him every question. Whatever he asks you, whenever you answer, he answers your question, you must listen. As it says in the Torah, in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, Daf Kav 25th page, Amud Abed, if whatever the judge rules in your days, Iftach bedoro kishmuel bedoro. Now, this is a very, very abused statement. The Gemara says over there, Iftach, even in Am Haaretz like Iftach, in his generation, will have so much power as Shmuel in his generation. But that, again, many people translate it the wrong way. What do they say? They say whatever the rabbi says. What they do, they come to me and they say, Rab Chaim Kanievsky said X, Y, and Z. Rab Chaim Kanievsky said very beautiful. Okay, it's very nice what he says, but I don't understand what it has to do with me. I didn't ask him. You hear? And especially, you have a lot of crazy people, stupid people, go and ask stupid questions. You hear? Imagine yourself, a person comes to Rab Chaim Kanievsky, and he says to Rab Chaim Kanievsky, the light is red for me to walk, but green for cars to drive. Should I cross the street? And Rab Chaim Kanievsky answers him yes. So I should follow what Rab Chaim Kanievsky told him? Yeah? Chaim Kanievsky answered him. If he wants to answer him, go walk on a red light when it's green light for the cars, that's his problem. I have no obligation to rely on a miracle. If Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky told him to rely on a miracle, good. It's for his. It's his. He will. Bezrat Hashem will be successful. Not successful. I don't care. But if Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, I didn't ask him to go. I didn't ask a silly question. Some crazy guy asked such a silly question. Yeah? Knowing that something is dangerous, and he says, "Should I do it?" Why did you ask him? And I say many times you don't even have to listen to Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky when he tells you to do something against Torah. Why? Because Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky was laughing at you. As we have a Gemara, the Gemara says, you answer a fool with a foolish question, gets a foolish answer. So Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky was actually laughing at this, and this, I should say roughly, a moronic question. What kind of question is this? Should you cross the street on a red light when it's green for the cars? What kind of nonsense is this? But this guy answered, so Rabbi Chaim was making fun of him, and I told him, yeah. But now he goes around to the whole world today, you hear? And they're trying to force the whole world to cross the lights. Obviously, you know what I mean. I'm not talking about red lights. I'm talking about medical. I'm talking about medical experiments that some imbeciles went ahead and asked, knowing that the medical experiments are dangerous for people. They went ahead and asked Rab Chaim Kanievsky, and now they're stating, Rab Chaim said you should do the medical experiments on you. Fools. There is no such a Torah. However, if somebody came and asked the Chachamim, or a community appointed a messenger, and they went to ask Rab Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Ovadia Yosef, what should the community do? You hear? And now the messages came back with an answer. Chas v'shalom to somebody who doesn't follow what the rabbi says. Once the answer was questioned, the question was asked on behalf of the community, by community, or you yourself went ahead and you asked the rabbi, what should I do in this instance? And he answers you what you should do. Chas v'shalom, you should do opposite. Mitzvah number 496, and this is what we're talking about. We are actually prohibited for not listening to what the rabbis tell us. You with me?
Putting their sin on
שנמנעו מלחלוק על בעלי הקבלה עליהם שלום ומלשנות את דבריהם ולצאת במצוותם בכל ענייני התורה. It's prohibited to go against the previous or the rulings of the אנשי הגדולה, of the סנהדרין הגדולה. ועל זה נאמר, as it says over there in chapter 17, פסוק י"א, לא תסור מן הדבר אשר יגידו לך ימין ושמאל. You're prohibited from going to right or left to whatever they rule for you. ואמרו זכרונם לברכה בספרי, לא תסור זו מצוות לא תעשה. Sifri explains that when it says לא תסור, it means a mitzvah of prohibition. That means you're not allowed to not listen. משושן מצווה, לפי שדעות בני האדם חלוקין זה מזה. הקדוש ברוך הוא knows the most prevalent problem in this world, that every individual has a different mindset. Just like our faces have different features, so too our minds are all separate, different ideas. And in order to have peace established in this world, right? חלוקין זה מזה. לעולם הרבה דעת ודברים, ויודע האדון הכל ברוך הוא, השם knows שאילו תהיה כוונת כתובי התורה מסורה ביד כל אחד ואחד מבני אדם, איש כפי ששכלו. השם knew that if every person will do everything that comes to his mind, יפרש כל אחד מהם דברי התורה כפי סברתו. Each individual will explain Torah according to his own understanding and his own analogies. וירבה המחלוקות בישראל במשמעות המצוות, and there will be so many different מחלוקות, different arguments in reference to how to fulfill the mitzvot properly. ותעשה התורה ככמה תורות, and חס ושלום we will have what Christians have, 1600 different Bibles, Christian Bibles, or like the Muslims have over 980 different Qurans. Over 900 Qurans, different Muslims have. Over 1600 Bibles the Christians have. In order to prevent that,
not just that, different groups. They're like, they change every day. One guy gets up and they
Okay, so therefore, in order to prevent that, Hashem gave us this ruling that the Sof Kol Sof, there has to be a final ruling by the greatest rabbis, the greatest assembly, and finished. כעניין שכתבתי ממצוות אחרי רבים להטות, as I already explained to you, also in reference to the mitzvah, as it says in the Torah, according to the majority you shall follow. Again, according to the majority of Torah, not Amaratzim, not talking about Goyim, their majority, so we have to follow them. Chas v'shalom. We're not talking about that. That is for sure not. The majority is when the ruling of the Rabbanim. Okay? על כן אלוהינו שהוא אדון הכל החכמות השלם, תורתנו תורת אמת, עם המצווה הזאת שצוונו להתנהג בה על פי הפירוש האמיתי המקובל לחכמינו הקדמונים עליהם השלום. Therefore, הקדוש ברוך הוא, our God, who loves us, he commanded us this mitzvah in order to cause what? To stop any arguments, Rabbi Yonatan, to prevent all the arguments and to cause the most pleasant and peaceful existence amongst ourselves. Therefore, he commanded us this mitzvah number 495 and 496, in order to have this shalom. בכל דור ודור גם כן מי שנשמע אל החכמים מהם הנמצאים שקיבלנו דבריהם ושתו מים בספריהם ויגיעו כמה יגיעות בימים ובלילות להבין עומק מלאיהם ולפיות דעותיהם. Therefore, every generation we have this beautiful sages who constantly toil in learning Torah, and they go back and forth from one book to the next book and the next book and the books, and they amass so much information, and they guide us. And through the beautiful words that come out of their mouths, we are to live according to that. ואם ההסכמה הזאת נכוון על דרך האמת בידיעת התורה, and therefore through all their vast knowledge and information they come to the final true ruling what Hashem wants. וזולת זה אם נתפתח אחר מחשבותינו, of course everybody understands that חס ושלום, if we will not have this bottom line that there is a greater Beit Din, a greater Talmidei Chachamim that evolve and give us a real outlook of what the halacha is, chas v'shalom, we will get even worse and worse. We will deviate from the Torah because each one has their own svara, and he thinks I'm right and nobody's wrong. Nobody's right, everybody's wrong. I'm the only one in charge. Oh, that will for sure go against Torah, as we see today. The Torah, unfortunately, the Torah is being used as a dictatorship tool. It's a mamish shod. It's a mistake. People, everybody must listen to me. Who said so? Chas v'shalom, must listen to you. Who you think you are? You are allowed to, even if you are biggest Talmid Chacham. Let's say, Rishon LeZion. I'm saying something. Okay, you said something. Me'ech attempts I have to follow everything you say. I didn't ask you a question. You made your own assumption. Present me the argument, and I have a choice to listen to you or not. Same thing goes over here today. A Rav comes to a community. Who gave you permission to open your mouth, Cloud? Who gave you permission to start giving everybody corrections, to correct this way, correct that way? Who gave you the permission? If you're learning with people, first learn with them halacha, what Hashem desires. What is halacha? Teach them. First learn with them certain halacha. Let's say I come into a community, I don't like people going with shaved heads. I don't like it. It's against Torah. Completely shave over their peot. I don't say a word. When are we going to allow to say something? We learn the halacha. Learn the halacha, with Rabim, you have a video, audio, send it out. Boom, 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 boom to everybody. Everybody should know there was already learned here. Now, if somebody comes and learns, so by the way, here, this is the halacha. What are you doing? Give me a head there. Only after that I ask people, excuse me, who gave you permission to bald your hair? Here we learned already. Halacha, it's asur to cut if you can't grab. If you can't grab the hair over here, it's asur. Yeah, it's asur to cut that. It's the right of taking off the peah. So what I do, I don't ask him, oh, you avera bar averot. I don't attack him. I ask him gently, Habibi, we learned it's asur. Please do me a favor. Teach me where you found it's mutar. Finish. I don't argue. No, Rabbi, shut up. Okay, shut up. Halas, go weiter. Life goes on. If you come to be marry of my daughter or have your son marry my daughter, you have a good day. Or my son gonna marry your daughter. It's not gonna happen. Not happens. Chas v'shalom. If you don't want to follow Torah, what do you want from me? Okay. Now if he has a heter and it makes sense, okay, I would like to hear it. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's how we do it. You're not supposed to fight, attack. They move, teach people first, and then ask them where did they find a heter. That's the only way to do Torah. Okay, today there's a lot of rules over here involved in reference to this mitzvah. Bezrat Hashem, look at that. Wow, so beautiful. To go through it one day, we don't have a lot of time.
That was actually a very important one because it applies to today.
Yes. ועובר על זה הוא פרץ גדר בדבר אחד מכל מה שלמדונו רבותינו בפירוש התורה. And if חס ושלום, if a person goes against what the rabbi has ruled him, כגון באחד משלושה עשרה מידות, או אסור, אוקיי? אין לוקין עליו זה, לפי שניתן להזהרת מיתת בית דין, בזקן ומראה וכמה שכתבנו. אוקיי, now, however, so over here, the rechoira, if an individual doesn't follow what the rabbi says, so obviously we don't have a beit din to give lashes anyway, but he will be reprimanded for his avirah in Hashem's hands. And that's not something that we encourage. Bezrat Hashem, have a wonderful day and atzlacha.